can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at. They turn it back around. Can't stop me.
Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course with me tonight is the Take It With Us, this Take It Show. How are you, darling?
I'm here. I think that's about where we all are today, aren't we?
No, I'm in Moranley Priestley mode.
I know, but I'm saying it's been a hell of a Mardi Gras day, hasn't it?
It has, and I'm still waiting for my beads to arrive.
We ain't seen nothing that deserves beads yet.
Uh-huh.
Like, you want to start stripping, yeah. We'll take this to OnlyFans, and we'll get you all the beads you want.
And we've discussed this before.
And
I wasn't the one that had the issue.
Well, it's 2023 now, and fuck it. I don't know anyone that isn't about to open an OnlyFans going, well, shit.
You're telling me. Of course, however, it may become more complicated with the Supreme Court and the current rulings and bullshit on Title 42. But, apparently the government thinking that they need to manage every aspect of our lives.
Well, there's that.
Mexico's looking better every day. 70 degrees. I'm telling you.
There is that. There is that. And it's a dry heat, really.
It is.
But yeah. So how are y'all doing, especially y'all on Replay Crew? How are you doing? What you drinking tonight? How's your day been?
Yes. What mode are you in? What's your theme song for today?
Oh, yes. What's your theme song for today?
Or movie line?
Oh, well, no. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go with the theme song or movie line, because mine is a movie line.
Okay.
Florals for spring. How innovative.
No, technically the line is florals for spring. Breathtaking. Or groundbreaking. It's one of the two. Yes.
Oh, I'll just do the parting of the lips. It works better.
There you go.
Yes. And again, I feel like I need to throw my purse and jacket at somebody.
Yeah. I mean, you can feel like that. You're entitled to your feelings.
Yes. You can't tell me how I feel. All right.
Oh, no.
So apparently some companies in the UK are going to be switching it up.
Oh,
international and psychic, you may want to pay attention to this. This can affect you.
Oh, so is this the one from NPR?
Yes.
All right, we're talking about the 4-day work week again. Is it a mirage or reality? It just keeps coming up, doesn't it? The concept of a perma-long weekend with no reduction in pay. It's so attractive in theory that we as a society refuse to let it go. But it's starting to feel like the mirage of an oasis in the desert. We're desperate for some relief, but it always seems just out of reach. What is it? The 4-day work week. There have been any number of studies in recent years looking into this, but will we see it en masse? For some, it's now here. A pilot program in the UK tried it out at dozens of companies, and the results were so good, most of the participating firms say they're going to stick with it. The concept is based on the idea that most jobs with a 40-hour work week can get to the same amount of work done in 32, or at least 4 10-hour days. As work itself evolves at a rapid pace, our colleagues are literally robots these days. The Monday through Friday model is looking pretty outdated to many. The UK study found a hefty list of benefits associated with cutting back to 46% of employees said they were less fatigued. 3 out of 5 says it was easier to balance work-home life. Sounds pretty good, right? What's the big deal? Well, it appears to be gaining momentum, at least in some circles. 2022 Ernst & Young study into the future of work surveyed more than 500 U.S. C-suite and business leaders across a range of industries and found 40% have either started using a 4-day work week or are in the process of implementing one. A 2021 study out of New Zealand found that after moving to a 4-day work week, work intensified, as did pressure around performance management. And some experts have noted that employees can have a hard time disconnecting and may still try to make themselves available. Then there are questions of equality. Some have noted that the idea has a more natural home in tech and white collar work, and the idea of a set 40-hour work week might even seem like a luxury for those with longer hours, late nights, or unpredictable schedules. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, so what's this mean for the international psychic?
Yes, so what does that mean for the international psychic?
Well, if corporations that we have to deal with, like our tech support, our managerial teams, our marketing teams, our marketing firms, our companies, move to a 4-day work week, you have to figure out, do they come in on Monday or do they come in on Friday? Most of them are not coming in on Friday. Also, it's very interesting because this was actually pioneered in a different set of businesses. This was pioneered in the nursing staff, and it was a 3-day work week with 12-hour shifts.
Oh, Shannon, what is your kid trying to be funny with? WordPress? Like, WordPress is funny, but...
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, I think that we will start. I cannot wait till they get rid of the idea of a work week.
How so? As in, you're looking for like the work never stops 7 days a week?
No, more so the work is the work. Get your
And
tasks done. If you get done with if you are a salary employee and your tasks are done in 2 days, then go the fuck on. Stop aggravating me at my water cooler, in my Slack, yawling about your child or the birthday cake or whatever. We do not have time for you, Susan. Go find something to do.
Well, and there are those for whom work is a social place.
Yeah.
Like for some people, those are the only relationships that they have. Are their work-based relationships.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's an illusion. I really do. Because I've had the 4/10s work week.
Right.
Because we did that when I worked for the debt collections agency because we kept going through a problem with trying to rotate it to work Saturdays. And ultimately, it just became easier. I took the perma 4-day week.
Right.
And then turned around and worked the Saturdays.
Okay.
And because that was the trade-off, is you work the Saturdays, you get the 4-day week.
Right.
And I was like, it's easier for me. Like, I'm used to this. I know what a 4-day work week is. The problem becomes you end up working outside of people's view. And then there becomes this weird belief that when you do that, and it's the same problem we're having with work from home,
right,
is a lot of managers feel like the minute they leave, you start goofing off. And it's like, yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah, and again, that is not corporate environment.
Oh, and I take that back. It wasn't about the Saturdays. It was, we were open till 9, and we used to rotate the weeks so that we had coverage till 9.
Right.
Anyway, I finally just said, screw this. Y'all keep complaining about it.
Right.
I'll take it and have the Friday off. The reality was, at the rate that I was working, if I had been working 40 hours a week, I would have been perfectly fine with that 3 days off and doing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Most Wednesday mornings I was breaking 40 hours.
Uh-huh.
And I still had the rest of the day to go.
Right.
Plus the whole next day.
Right.
And then most of those, like, I kept getting handed shit that had to be ready for Friday
Mm-hmm.
on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And so it turned into, like, every Thursday night, I wasn't leaving till 1, 2, like, I'm supposed to be out of there by 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't getting out of there till, like, 1 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
2 in the morning, midnight. Like, somewhere in that range of midnight to 3 in the morning was my
Right.
normal leave time.
Right.
Which was ridiculous.
Right.
Like, the hours got crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And originally what I kept getting told was, we'll figure that out, or, well, I'm sure it's not really that many, like this constant belief that, like, you're underperforming intentionally. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting there, you're goofing off, you're not doing what you need to be doing. And I'm like, no, I'm grinding.
Right.
Like, yeah, I end up taking, a smoke break at 5, and, yes, I take one, somewhere in the middle of that too. But at the same time, no, I'm not sitting here, like, spending hours on Facebook and doing all that crap.
Right.
But eventually it got to a point
Mm-hmm.
that I ended up getting told that if it was taking me that many hours, then I just wasn't really trying hard enough.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a demoralizing moment.
Uh-huh.
When I'm sitting here trying to tell you I'm doing the work of at least 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
At least 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell me that I just must not be very good at it? I'm like, burnt me up.
Mm-hmm.
I did find it funny, though, after I left. They had to effectively train a replacement for me that they thought they were going to have. Then they had to hire a second person
Mm-hmm.
because it was too much work for that person to do.
Right.
And that was apparently not the entirety of my task list.
Right.
Because, yeah, someone ended up having to leave later.
Uh-huh.
And they found out how much wasn't getting, and the whole reason they had to leave was because stuff wasn't getting done and they had egg on their face.
Uh-huh.
Because they had claimed credit
Uh-huh.
for stuff that I was doing that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know how to perform.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh. So in hindsight, like, I'm way better knowing all that now.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you want to talk about demoralizing employees, that's a moment.
Well, it is, but at the same time, I'm looking at this in general from the employer
Mhm.
perspective. I pay you to do a job. If
Uh-huh.
it takes you 10 hours to do that job, or it takes you 2 hours to do that job, I should be paying you the same amount for the job.
Mm-hmm. And I think and that was supposed to be the original idea of salary exempt.
Right.
Is that you have tasks that should feasibly
Right.
take you
Mm-hmm.
about 40 hours or so a week.
Yeah.
That fundamentally you're getting paid to perform a function.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be skilled enough that you should understand what you need to do
Right.
and get it done in a timely fashion reasonable to the business.
Right.
A lot of employers have abused the fuck out of that. Let's just
Right.
be honest. And effectively what they've done is take a position that's budgeted for 40 hours and pays for 40 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and turned it into a 45, 50, 55, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hour monster.
Right.
Where they just keep adding And there's no increase in pay. There's no understanding that, like, I've assigned you enough duties
Mm-hmm.
for 2 people.
Right.
Because we found in my business, I have to say though, it wasn't because someone left.
Mm-hmm.
It was because in the time that I was there, the business evolved
Mm-hmm.
and things changed, and there were developments of things that we were not doing when I started there.
Right.
Because this had grown in the span of 7 years from being the entire responsibility of the director of support.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she had done all the IT stuff
Right.
for this company as it in its early years until it had hit a tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
That she's like, I can't do all this anymore.
Right.
She was a combo IT, HR, payroll and accounting,
Mm-hmm.
one employee. She did all of that. So, like, I think 8-9 years before 2 to 3 years before I got there,
Mm-hmm.
she had to start breaking up her job into new employees and new departments.
Right.
And so, originally they hired one IT person.
Right.
In 6 months, they realized they needed a second IT person.
Right.
And then 6 months after that, they immediately hit the point where they needed to hire at least one more person, but they thought maybe 2.
Right.
So they interviewed actually the last 2 of us at the same time, hired me first, and then a month later brought the 4th coworker in, the 4th IT person. Yet then that was the moment where they decided that no, they didn't need anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That the business just kept growing and changing. We kept adding servers, we kept adding new functionalities, we kept adding on, reports and customized reports, and just kept going with all the functions. And somehow they were dead set that this was a ridiculous number of IT employees. And you could not get it through to anyone.
Right.
And then you keep doling tasks out and dividing the labor up, and we were all working insane hours.
Right.
Mine were probably the most insane because I kept getting pulled over as the guy who just keeps handling shit, so give him some more.
Right. And that's the problem with, having to take positions and, I don't know. Sometimes I get to be the CEO. Sometimes I have to be the taskmaster. But other times, I have to look at them and go, "Are you serious?" No.
Yeah. Today was kind of a no day.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is I'm going to be on the road tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, like I was having my own issues today anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to be on the road tomorrow. I'm trying to get a few different things caught up and done and ready to go that I have to quickly do in the morning before I can get on the road.
Right.
So I'm trying to make that go as quickly as possible so I don't have to be up at like 6 in the morning.
Right.
Because I turn around on Thursday. This developed in the middle of that and then Thursday I have to be up at 6 a.m. to go on a client visit because they only have a limited number of hours in the morning that they're available.
Right. But
so I'm trying to get all this stuff done, and then I have someone come in with their own issues, and it's like, I can't. What? I'm sorry. What? Like, I'm sorry, what? You want what?
And I'm like, no. No.
And yeah, so I was so engrossed in my day. We had to take the invisible assistant to work today. I had no clue what time it was. And all of a sudden, I'm getting like, gnaw off an arm hungry. And so, we were like, okay, well, let's just ask the invisible assistant to throw something in real quick. And I was trying to figure out, like, dude, what is your problem?
Mm-hmm.
And I still didn't catch it until it was finally like, I'm going to work at 4, right? And it was like, oh, right. Forgot about that. What? Jesus. Okay, yeah, that's probably why I'm off my arm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fair. That's fair.
Right.
That tracks. But yeah, so I did that drive, took him to work, and like I was just ready to be like Martina McBride and I had a moment in the car. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's how that went. I was about ready to throw a Ford in reverse and take out a parking meter. Unfortunately, we don't drive a Ford, and I have to go all the way to Fayetteville to find parking meters. But you get my point.
Well, I get your point, but at the same time, I'm like, fine, I want to handle this while handling a crisis, while handling everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
you weren't having. Oh yes, Shannon, the video was awesome.
Yeah. I wasn't having any of it.
Yeah, no, you were done.
Yep.
Because your day's been insane. Your last few weeks have been insane. Anyway,
It's February.
It's February, yeah. Like no, everything's been a little bit crazy.
Uh-huh.
And I was having my I'm going to scream.
Yeah. And I was having my no you ain't, you're going to shut up because I'm on the phone. Go handle what you gotta handle and take anything off your task list that doesn't have a dollar sign beside it.
True. Which I mean sounds horrible and callous, but honestly, that was kind of the level that I was at today.
Right.
Was I just don't have room
Mm-hmm.
for anything that is not a paying client emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say paying client, I mean just because it comes from a paying client.
Mm-hmm. No.
Doesn't mean
What
that
you're contracted to do. Furthermore,
Yeah.
we are in the last week of February, which means we need to get the other company's stuff up, running together, and looking like it's running. So, I am in the I don't give a damn unless your house is burning down. You can wait until I get done with the other businesses.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah.
No.
So I performed Miranda Priestley in Comparablis display and moved on and went, great, now I've got 6 more emails to do. Let me handle that. While handling 2 other meetings in 2 separate fucking time zones. Like, I need an AI of me that can give responses like, oh, that sounds interesting. That's an idea. An idea.
Shannon, you have confused me, and maybe I'm just that tired. Could you just private message me or something? What male anatomical dangly bits start with WP? Like I may be tired. Sorry, I'm good now. Anywho.
Hello, Miss Brenda. Welcome to the club. Grab a cup of coffee.
Hey, Brenda.
Hope your day's going well. Current question is, what is your day theme or movie quote?
Yes. Theme song or movie quote. Yeah. I'm a DMU. All right. Thank you, Shannon.
I don't know. I don't foresee me ever having a 4-day work week.
Oh yeah, so we're at the 4-day work week. Poor Brenda always comes in on strange places.
Always. I don't foresee this happening in our industry.
Oh, why so? Why so? Because you were pointing this out, like readers need to listen up. What you talking about?
Well, we need to listen up because our support staff will do this. Our tech staff will do this. Our advertising staff will do this. We're still at the 70-hour work week of the 1930s.
Mm-hmm. Well, and realistically, I think that's when you have to start rebalancing and redistributing people throughout the week. It doesn't mean your business can only be open 4 days a week. It means you start to reevaluate what 4 days someone works and then what their weekend is.
Right.
Like, do they work Tuesday to Friday? Do they work Monday to Thursday? What are they doing? When are they here? What are they doing? Do you have someone who works, Friday to Monday?
Again.
So you have that nice weekend coverage.
Right.
Oh, so I have an IM.
You have a DM.
Oh. Oh, okay. Got it now. I'm good, Shannon. I'm good. That's funny.
So let's take a break, and then we'll come back and discuss about what government done when DeWine decided to be stupid.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Dottie the Psychic, and I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing any makeup. Well, one reason is to irritate my social media manager, Aeson Knight. Hi, Aeson. The other reason is because I like to get to the naked truth about what it means to be a neurodivergent LGBT person with psychic abilities. I've got vlogs, blogs, and podcasts and videos all related to trying to live my best life and helping witches and bitches do the same thing. So, you can check all that out and get a reading from Dottie the Psychic at DOTTIEthepsychic.com. Safe travel and much profit to you.
Do you have a cute pet? We know you do. Each week, Tracy Van chooses from submitted photos a featured reader for her Facebook page and provides a tarot reading. Your adorable pet cat, dog, rabbit, goat, chicken, snake, or more could be her next featured reader. Visit tracyvan.com, TracyBann.com, and click Featured Reader to submit. We look forward to seeing your pet next.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here, and I am here to tell you how to get in contact with me and a little bit about what I do. I am the High Priestess that works with shadow work to help you grow and heal. And I work with access bars, Reiki, I do power forms. I'm recently getting into crystal healing, sound therapy as well. So you can go to Lady Gwendolyn Healing, that is LadyGwendolynHealing.com. Book your appointment with me. I do in person, I do over the phone, I do over Zoom. We can do that as well. My main goal is to help you grow and heal, because I've been there, I'm still going through it, and I let my strength help guide you. See you soon.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you have come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
Okay, welcome back.
Yes. So Brenda's got Bruja by La Perla stuck in her head for this week. Not really the theme song, but stuck in the head.
That works. So if you guys will remember, President Biden offered FEMA to DeWine. DeWine was saying, nope, we got this. It's a chemical spill, but we got this.
Mm-hmm.
So he hung up his phone and said, Environmental Protection Agency, take it over.
Yeah, so the Environmental Protection Agency announced Tuesday they would take control of the cleanup of a Norfolk Southern train derailment in Ohio earlier this month that released hazardous chemicals into the environment. Crews are still working to respond to the freight disaster in East Palestine as community members worry about possible adverse health effects from the toxic materials released when dozens of cars derailed after a likely mechanical failure. Under the legally binding order, Norfolk Southern must identify and clean up contaminated soil and water resources, pay for the cost of work performed by the EPA, and reimburse the agency for additional cleaning services offered to residents and businesses. The agency's move comes as the emergency response effort has now morphed into an environmental cleanup that is the responsibility of the railroad, EPA Administrator Michael Regan said during a Tuesday press conference. Quote, Norfolk Southern will pay for cleaning up the mess that they created and the trauma that they inflicted, Regan said. In no way, shape, or form will Norfolk Southern get off the hook for the mess that they created. The company will also have to attend and participate in public meetings requested by the EPA, he said. If Norfolk Southern fails to act, Regan said, the EPA can do the work itself and recoup triple the cost of any remediation efforts. In a statement to NPR on Tuesday, Norfolk Southern said it has already been paying for the cleanup in East Palestine and would continue to do so. Quote, we recognize that we have a responsibility and we have committed to doing what's right for the residents of East Palestine, the railroad said. We are committed to thoroughly and safely cleaning the site, and we are reimbursing residents for the disruption this has caused in their lives. The company has committed more than $6 million to date in East Palestine, it said, including $3.8 million in direct financial assistance to families impacted by the accident. Norfolk Southern also vowed to work with regulators and elected officials to improve railroad safety in light of the crash. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro praised the EPA for taking charge of the cleanup from the crash, which took place less than a mile from the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. It is in my view that Norfolk Southern wasn't going to do this out of the goodness of their own heart. There's not a lot of goodness in there, Shapiro said. They needed to be compelled to act. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's quite interesting that, I love the play. It was a very nice play, Biden. I give you props for that. You were trying to be the nice guy. We can send FEMA in. FEMA can handle this. FEMA can take care of you. They can take care of getting all the resources available by the federal government. Oh, you don't want that? Not a problem. Hey, EPA, I think this is now your job. They environmental, we created you. Get down there.
Yeah.
Good move. Good.
Yeah, FEMA, like, I don't know what it is that some Republican governors, and I'm assuming, because off the top of my head, I don't know what governors what, but I'm assuming screams Republican governors. A lot of Republican governors really flippin' hate FEMA. They just hate this idea of FEMA coming in.
Yes, and D1
and it's like
Republican.
Yeah. Well, because I'm sitting here going, even Jim Justice has learned better.
Yes.
Like, it takes nothing for this man to declare a state of emergency in all 55 counties of West Virginia. Please, FEMA, please show up.
Well, here's the thing with this, and this is what is always about me. It isn't that bad for FEMA to show up, process stuff, take care of things, put our tax dollars to the use of the people, which, I don't get that problem.
I think it has more to do with government being involved in business.
Right.
And I think that's where the Republican headache starts with FEMA.
Right.
feeling that FEMA is, that if you already think your government is useless,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're adding this quote useless government to a problem, then all you're doing is making the problem worse. And it does have the appearance, at least in circles,
Right.
that you can't handle your own shit.
Right.
The reality is the reason we have organizations like FEMA is there are just catastrophes that no, on an individual corporation level, on an individual state level, you don't have the resources to fix that.
Right.
Like, that's cute. It's cute you think you do.
Right.
But as a large government, we actually do have the resources to get that taken care of.
Right.
Like, we can compel them in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
And to the betterment of a situation than having to sit and wait because something's not available.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can make it available.
Right.
If you need people, we can make people available. You need equipment, we can make equipment available.
Mm-hmm.
It is where FEMA and the EPA come in.
Right.
Is like, no. This is a priority. You're not going to wait 3 months, 6 months.
Right. 2 years. Okay, am I gone or is Joe gone? There you are.
I think we were both gone.
Okay.
Shannon points out bringing in FEMA keeps the local and state governments from suing if they want to sue someone, if it's something like the chemical spills and train wrecks.
Mm-hmm. Because FEMA would go in and demand and do the payments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, FEMA is your friend.
Yeah.
But if you don't, like, it's kind of that moment, fuck around and find out, should be FEMA's theme song.
Right.
Because typically, if you fuck around and find out on the on inviting in FEMA,
mm-hmm.
Well, you found out, didn't you? Didn't you, Norfolk Southern? Didn't you, Ohio?
Yeah. You
EPA on board
to DeWine's re-election campaign so that you can get by with your shit in his state. Mm-hmm. And didn't work out too well. Now they're just assigning fees, and they go, "Oh, you don't want to do that? Not a problem. You can pay us triple, and we'll do that for you."
Talk about motivated.
Very much so. I kind of like that payment structure.
Yeah, you don't want to do that? Well, you can pay us triple to do it for you.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah, no, it's punitive. It's horribly punitive.
Yes.
Like this. Now, FEMA is someone you don't want to inherently have on your ass.
Right.
Because, yeah, FEMA will fuck your shit.
Right.
Financially.
Right.
So yeah, good luck with that. Have fun. Like it's not going to end well for you. It's going to be very expensive now. You could have let FEMA in. You could have invited FEMA in. FEMA would have helped you.
Right.
And this would have all been way less expensive.
Right.
But if around and find out, you found out.
You fucked around and the EPA is here. Well, out of Moscow, we see another bullshitting move from, Putin lost his ass.
Oh, yeah. So Putin says Russia suspending participation in new START treaty, last nuclear weapons pact with U.S. So Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin declared Tuesday that Moscow was suspending its participation in the new START treaty, the last remaining nuclear arms control pact with the United States, sharply upping the ante amid tensions with Washington over the fighting in Ukraine. Speaking in his State of the Nation address, Putin also said that Russia should stand ready to resume nuclear weapons tests if the U.S. does so, a move that would end a global ban on nuclear weapons tests in place since Cold War times. Explaining his decision to suspend Russia's obligations under the new START, Putin accused the U.S. and its NATO allies of openly declaring the goal of Russia's defeat in Ukraine. They want to inflict a, quote, strategic defeat on us and try to get to our nuclear facilities at the same time, he said. Putin argued that while the U.S. has pushed for the resumption of inspections of Russian nuclear facilities under the treaty, NATO allies had helped Ukraine mount drone attacks on Russian air bases hosting nuclear-capable strategic bombers. The drones used for it were equipped and modernized with NATO's expert assistance, Putin said, and now they want to inspect our defense facilities. In the conditions of today's confrontation, it sounds like sheer nonsense. That's his quote. So Putin emphasized that Russia is suspending its involvement in the New START and not entirely withdrawing from the pact yet. The announcement from Putin drew criticism from Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who called it deeply unfortunate and irresponsible. We'll be watching carefully to see what Russia actually does, he told reporters traveling with him in Greece. We'll, of course, make sure that in any event, we are postured appropriately for the security of our own country and that of our allies. The New START Treaty, signed in 2010 by U.S. President Barack Obama and Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, limits each country to no more than 1,500 deployed nuclear warheads and 700 deployed missiles and bombers. The agreement envisages sweeping on-site inspections to verify compliance. Just days before the treaty was due to expire in February 2021, Russia and the United States agreed to extend it for another 5 years. Amid tense talks over the treaty almost 2 years ago, the top U.S. negotiator told CBS News' Pamela Faught at the United Nations that the U.S. was not going to allow Russia and China to continue increasing their nuclear weapons stockpile.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Russia and the U.S. have suspended mutual inspections under New START since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, but Moscow last fall refused to allow their resumption, raising uncertainty about the pact's future. Russia also indefinitely postponed a planned round of consultations under the treaty. Those moves prompted the U.S. to accuse Russia of non-compliance with the pact as recently as January.
Well, we know he's not complying with the pact because the pact was more so to not benefit us, and I don't like this treaty. Actually, this treaty is what I call classical bullshit. It's a lovely dance. I think that we need to upgrade. I think we need to re-envision, and I don't understand why we have not moved past nuclear and into fusion at this point, as far as weapon armaments, and why we're not looking at other options than metal objects.
Well, the sad reality is we are still, not that nuclear weapons are not potentially horrible to begin with, should they be deployed. Like they're truly horrible, but realistically what we're working with in a modern military has far more to do with the internet and cybersecurity and hacking than it has ever had to deal with before.
Right. But I'm calling this a pink elephant. Okay. We'll say we're doing this over here. See this pretty pink elephant? Oh, we're building up nuclear arms and yada, 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 yada. What they're really doing is over here, and you're not watching this hand.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting bit of theater that, again, draws attention in one direction.
Right.
And I think we are probably already under, if not in the midst of, a almost terroristic level threat of on a internet basis.
Oh, I totally agree. That's also Title 402 is nice. I think we need to maintain it. I was talking about that earlier in the show. That basically gives us the freedom of the internet. But I really and truly feel at the same time we need to be developing and focusing more on making it to where nuclear weapons are the 1940s idea.
Well, they mostly are.
Yeah.
They mostly are a relic of the 40s. It's not that they're like, again, part of that has to do with the fact that, yes, but they're weapons of world annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, have we not all watched War Games by this point? If you haven't, like, watch it.
Well,
yes, I know it's
I think we
outdated.
can move on to fusion weapons, and it would be a lot easier to be taking care of most of these problems. Of course, the other side of this is I don't wonder why we don't drop EMFs on them and just be done with their shit.
Mostly because we probably need to make sure that their nuclear weapons are not being, they are kept in, stability.
Right.
Mostly because some of those weapons may be as old as the 50s and 60s. And
yeah.
Like,
all right, guys. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be finding out if Joe's an asshole this week.
All right.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month, in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service, or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TRACYVANN.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
Hi, Techie Joe here. I work with Aeson Knight, some of the best psychics in West Virginia, to create amazing live streams and podcasts for the Psychic Coffee Shop Network. Together, we brew up great content discussing news, events, hot topics, and more, all from a psychic perspective. On the Psychic Coffee Shop, we interview amazing authors in the metaphysical realm. Coffee and Tea combines Aeson with Tracy, Dottie, Natalie, or Lady Gwendolyn for the good and the bad of being a psychic. Shameless Self-Promotion with Dottie the Psychic talks to leading and emerging YouTubers and business owners in our community. Mountain Bears brings you the latest in LGBT news and politics. The Psychic That Plans answers the question of, well, how a psychic plans. Plus, we're live on air. We take your comments and your questions, including psychic advice questions. Check out our amazing programming, book an appointment with top psychics, and find out all the wonderful things we have to offer at PCSBnetwork.com today.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that call now button there on my site. Great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. All right, the poll is up on the Aeson Knight Facebook page. All right, plead your case.
All right, am I the asshole for not letting my wife eat whatever she wants to? My 30 male wife, 29 female, has a case of type 2 diabetes that runs in her genes. Even though my wife knows that she has diabetes, she doesn't seem to care at all that she has diabetes. She has been on a strict medication that her doctor has set her, which has been some foods, and she's not allowed to eat fried sugary stuff, as this will raise her sugar levels. Yesterday, I went to the shop and she came with me, and I bought what we needed to get, and she just followed along with me. As we were at the till, she says that she needs to go to the toilet and will meet me outside. When I'm done with paying, I go outside only to see my wife opening a packet of Haribo's, which the doctor says she's not allowed to eat. I quickly run over before she opened it, and I grabbed it out of her hands and threw it in the bin. She starts getting angry, saying that I'm a bitch and a overprotective motherfucker, and she starts crying almost, saying how it's not fair that she's not allowed to eat sweets. I tell her to stop and say that I cannot let her eat that. She grabs my keys for the car and she drives away, leaving me at the shop. I call her over and over and she doesn't pick up. I'm absolutely furious at her and start walking home. As soon as I'm home, I see her eating fried food on the sofa, and I grab the food out of her hands, saying that you cannot eat that. I also yell at her, saying that she's selfish, leaving me at the shop like that. She doesn't care and picks up the food and shoves it in my face and calls me a prick and leaves the house. I don't know where she is and not sure if I'm the asshole. I love her a lot and I cannot let her eat those types of foods as it's bad for her. Am I the asshole? Edit. She came home after about an hour and said she was sorry and that I'm being overprotective, and says that she knows what she's doing and I'm being an asshole for not letting her do what she wants. Edit 2, she's got a 10.1 A1C and she's taking metformin every day. The only problem is that according to some people, that's too high for metformin, and now has me wondering if she was lying to me as she goes to the doctors on her own and doesn't want me to come with her. Oh, we'll look forward to all of your votes. All of them. Take it away, Mr. Type 2 Diabetes.
He is an asshole. For one, not understanding the more prelude connective tissue that occurs with a diabetic, well, with a human and their food relationship.
Yes. That's just like, that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. You have to understand that food, especially in our culture and most cultures, is if someone dies, everyone brings food. If someone's sick, everyone brings food. You feed a cold, starve a fever. Every holiday is wrapped around food. This creates emotional boundaries and barriers and connections and things. Then you have, oh honey, you look sad. Here's a cup. Here's a cookie. Oh, you done great. Here's a cookie. There's a statement of, here's a cookie, here's this, here's that. What he's not done, he's looking at medical journals. Metformin up to like 4,000 milligrams of metformin a day isn't bad. It's nice. But that's a discussion for him's wife and the doctor to be talking about. We don't know what she ate during the day. We don't know where her sugar level is. There will be times you will see Aeson eat a whole fucking Hershey bar without skipping a beat or thinking about it, because I can tell when my body is not operating at the level that I need it at.
Mm-hmm.
That's very different than eating a giant king-size dark chocolate Mr. Good bar that there's an emotional relationship with. So telling her everything she can eat doesn't help shit. Okay, I know I can't have a ton of chocolate. I know I can't eat sugary foods. I shouldn't be eating pastas. I shouldn't be eating breads. I shouldn't be eating some grains. I don't lay up on mac and cheese. But we are what, 4 years into this game?
Okay. On trying to manage your diet?
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
5, maybe.
Well, we've been together going on 6, so it would have to be 4.
Okay. Alrighty, because I thought you were doing some stuff while we were still in Princeton.
I was, and I was still on metformin when we were in Princeton.
Right, as you still are on metformin.
Barely, but we've been able to control and manage different things. Metformin's kind of cute. It's kind of used for everything. I mean, even from apparently skin issues all the way down to you have a cold. Here's some metformin. Weird shit they're doing with medicine, which is fine. So I'm not overly worried with the metformin. I am overly worried. She has an emotional connection, an emotional reaction to food, as every human does, and she's not looking at why she wants the candy bar, or the gummy bears, or the candy bar at the store. Is it his display of how she's being denied everything that she feels she wants, needs, or desires, or is it because of the stress occurring in the relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here going, there is so much here going wrong. One, if you're not outright abusive at this point, you are borderlining it. That was my biggest stop. You do not rip food out of people's hands.
Right.
Twice in one day.
Right.
The first time was bad enough, and I could have forgiven you in just a moment of knee jerk. What the hell are you doing? Like, have you lost your mind? I could forgive you for a knee jerk. What the hell are you doing? The second time, no. But there's so many things going on here. And first of all, neither of you necessarily sounds like you know what you're dealing with, nor are you inherently taking good, positive steps.
Right.
That said, you're the asshole, OP. Because fundamentally, this is a medical problem that is hers to deal with and hers alone. You can be supportive. Without ripping food out of people's hands. You can be supportive without demanding someone eats a certain way or else.
Right.
Because that's what you're doing.
Right.
You can be supportive, and in no way should that involve creating food trauma and stress.
Right.
Because fundamentally what you're doing is you're just making this worse.
Yeah. Very much so. If anything, you're encouraging her bad behavior.
Or the cause of it entirely.
Exactly. And I have to give this to you. You've been really good after I got you through that stage of, no, I know how to manage this. And through that stage of, no, I can eat more than boiled chicken.
Well, honey, I was kind of already pre-built for some of this. Now that said, we've had to work out some of the finer points of how much does this impact what I eat?
Right.
Because you tend to go a little more on the side of caution. In an effort to try to get to a point where you can get off your meds. Than to most people would just kind of maintenance with.
Right.
That okay, don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. Just try to ride it. And what's my line? What can I operate within and not make this worse? Make it at least a little better over time.
Right.
Without necessarily doing a total dietary life change and trying to get off the meds immediately.
Right.
Or try to get off them as quickly as possible and get them stepped down as quickly as possible. For a lot of patients, it ends up being a lot about maintenance. Can we get you at a maintainable level so your A1C isn't going up?
Mm-hmm.
You're not having drastic highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting adequate nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not prone to binge eating.
Right.
Like, how can we deal with your emotional relationship with food?
Mm-hmm.
How can we deal with the new sense of denial that you're
Mhm.
going to have, like every diabetic does? Because I have yet to meet a diabetic who does not feel like life is unfair. Because I rarely have met diabetics, and I have sworn up and down at some points that they don't exist.
Uh-huh.
That it's a requirement to be a diabetic to have a sweet tooth with a near demonic level
Uh-huh.
of like, give me the sweet.
And
Like when it hits, it's a demonic little demon that's just like, no.
right. But then it's
Like-
managing that, like, what do I need? What do I want? And then, okay, why am I needing this?
Mhm.
Like, I went through a phase where I needed dark chocolate for like a week. I think I even looked at you one night when I was having a meltdown and told you, go get me chocolate. I just want fucking chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay. Out the door he went, and he came home with some dust chocolate.
Like,
But
I
it's-
brought him a selection because it's like, I can go get it and bring it to him in reasonable quantities, or I can send his happy little ass out with a debit card and a credit card. And what mischief, mayhem, and chaos results
Mm-hmm. Right.
will be of his own choosing.
Possibly. I was thinking more low iron, Shannon.
Yeah, basically. So Shannon's thinking low magnesium. My first thought was low iron.
Right.
Joe tosses it like, take that, devil. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
But, you know,
The power of Snickers compels you.
right. And but you know, and we were talking about this last night because you found the article, brought it to me, and I'm like, you're like, I would kill you. And it's like, no, he doesn't understand what's going on here. There's multiple layers that, oh, your pancreas isn't making enough insulin going on here. Because you have to work out that emotional relationship with food. You have to change the way you deal with food. You have to change your food diet. Your lifestyle choices and changes have to occur there. It's not a diet. It's not a I'm losing 15 pounds and then I'm off my metformin for years. It's more like, no, you have to switch and change the way you view food, the way you take care of food. And this is anybody on a weight loss journey, which is if you're diabetic and you're over your GPS weight, if you had surgeries, and a lot of doctors are now pushing diabetics to have the stomach surgeries. It's pulling that together and going, okay, why do I need this? Why do I want this? Why am I doing this?
Shannon, my girls, their dad would toss chocolate at them and shout, run! Fair enough. Fair enough. And I think you may have misunderstood what I was saying. I wasn't saying that if you did that to me, I'd kill you. I was saying if I did that to you, because, like, we go to the grocery store and like, I know, wild world. But anyway, we go to the grocery store to buy groceries, and you're like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then I come rolling my little cart outside, having paid for the groceries. And then saw you eating a bag of like gummy bears. Because the yellow ones, they're amazing. Yeah. And I rip them out of your hands and throw them in the trash. You're gonna kill me in front of a Kroger.
Yeah.
That's how that's gonna go.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with me being, protective of his diabetes. It has nothing to do with him being mad that I won't let him do whatever he wants. It has everything to do with I have not a fucking right in the world to pull that stunt.
Right.
He, however, as the person who has to face the consequences and repercussions of the choices he makes,
Mm-hmm.
can do what he needs to or what he wants, understanding he has to deal with the consequences and repercussions.
Right.
And yes, if he ultimately dies with, an A1C that's infinity number, that's a choice he made. And yes, I would have to then in turn deal with the consequences of his choices. But at the same time, it's his life.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the choices he is making in his life.
Mm-hmm.
I can choose to not be part of that and go, look, I can't handle this.
Uh-huh.
I think the choices you're making are reckless, irresponsible, and gonna lead to your untimely death.
Mm-hmm.
And I want no part of it. Thank you and good night.
Right.
That's a choice I can make in the situation.
Right.
And that's a legitimate choice. There are people that have to make that choice and go, look, I can't be a part of this. I'm not going to watch you destroy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think sometimes that gets said and threatened at least
Mm-hmm.
as a controlling, manipulative behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not in and of itself as a boundary
Right.
controlling and manipulative.
Right.
Just realize if you do this, someone may call you on their shit. They might like Little Debbie cakes fuck more tons than you.
Especially the holiday ones. But anyhow.
Hi, this is nothing new here.
Yeah.
And
But
let me
I
tell
think
you,
I'm one of your weirder diabetics.
How so?
Okay. Comparatively to Wayne.
Yeah, my dad.
Yeah. How different of a diabetic am I?
Not really. Now, if you mean if you're talking about base impulses and stuff like that, no, I don't think y'all are any different. Like, I think every diabetic is like every other diabetic is like every other diabetic. Now, sometimes the reasons are a little different as to like what you do and how you do it and why.
Mm-hmm.
But fundamentally, like, you don't lie to yourself and your doctors. You don't try to manipulate your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, Dad specifically figured out at one point before they did A1Cs that they only ever looked at the last 2 weeks of your logs in your doctor's appointment. So literally 2 weeks before his next appointment, he ate like a saint. And he kept blood sugars exactly where they ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly by not eating.
Mm-hmm.
And passing out frequently because his blood sugar dropped too low. And then he ate just enough to get it up and take his blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Take his glucose score. Yeah. And so, which is worse, way worse. Because he would then go into that appointment, show them his pretty little badge of honor, those last few pages real quick, and proceed to walk out of there to a box of Little Debbie cakes, like, oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So none of that do you do.
No.
Additionally, I think that one of the biggest differences is Dad got way focused and locked in about the fact that, like, he was getting screamed at. Because you've got to understand, when he was diagnosed as diabetic, this was 20-ish year, 25, 6, 7, not quite 30 years ago. It's a long time ago in, like, diabetes management theory. 30 years ago in diabetes management theory, it basically looked like a very strict diet. You're not allowed to have any of these things, and if you do, you fucked up. You want to die.
Right.
Was a lot of the way the messaging went out from the medical community.
Right.
Like, if you've done stuff from the 90s, it's flippin' rude.
Right.
And it's destined to failure.
Right.
Now, flash forward, Dad died in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still halfway through, or a little more than halfway through, the 30-year evolution
Mm-hmm.
of what diabetes management is today.
Right.
Which is very different.
Mm-hmm.
So even at 10 years ago, but from those early encounters, from those early experiences, from that everyone used to tell diabetics
Mm-hmm.
constantly, you can't have that, you're diabetic. You can't have that, you're diabetic. Oh my God, people, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Please shut up. You make it worse.
You do.
You really, truly do. Like, that judgment,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you just made that a forbidden fruit. You are just going to make that worse. One, you drew attention to someone. Two, you made it a forbidden fruit. You made it taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're not supposed
See,
to have it.
here's the thing I don't get. I think it was about 2 weeks in to me being on metformin.
Mm-hmm.
I done my normal hit the road routine. Espresso, Snickers.
Uh-huh.
I'm on the phone with him. I open up my almond Snickers, take
Mm-hmm.
a bite of it, and I think he thought I was choking.
Well, honey, the sounds you made only had one of two ways to go.
Uh-huh.
Choking or orgasmic, and I was going with, like, what would be the least safe thing to be happening right now on the side of the road that he might need some presence of mind to be told to pull the car over. Because I'm hoping that you could have an orgasmic experience in a vehicle and know how to continue driving safely.
Easily.
Weird things that you would think that would react worse for me than they do, but I'm more concerned about him choking to death while driving than whatever led to an orgasmic experience.
It was not an orgasmic experience. I was trying to spit that shit out of my mouth.
Well, that's one form of orgasmic experience for some portions of the population, but that's beside the point.
Exactly. Because it was nasty. Like, it was totally nasty. Like,
well, but again, from the other end of a phone, sometimes something being disgusting and something being really fun and pleasurable.
Uh-huh.
Kind of hard to tell. Like, it is a coin toss.
But I went through this phase for about, 6 months there. It was just like, nope, don't like that. Nope, don't like that.
Yeah.
Nope, don't like that. Nope, don't like that.
Yes. His relationship to sugar totally changed.
Yeah. Well, my relationship with food totally changed.
Which I do find interesting because it brings up something Dad had said.
Mm-hmm.
That I always found weird.
Uh-huh.
Was that, he kept having this experience where he would have stuff that he knew he liked.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kept saying it doesn't taste right.
Right.
I don't think he was on metformin at that point. I think they had him on something else.
Yeah, probably GABA.
That's too many years to remember.
Yeah, it was probably GABA gastrin or something like that. It's a G one. I don't like it either.
Yeah, whatever it was, they had him on to help. It didn't. It really started to impact his taste experience with food, and most of the things he ended up choosing at the end were even worse.
Right.
As far as, like, he was doing a lot more just like straight sugar in terms of Jolly Ranchers and the Mary Janes. Bit of Honeys. Like, because those were the only things that I think really truly tasted right.
Right.
For him.
Right.
Because every time he'd try to have a little Debbie cake, it was wrong.
Right.
Like, he'd just get this look, like he was all excited, and then he would go start eating it, and you just see him get this look like that's not it.
Right. And that's been my, relationship with a lot of food. I don't do soda. If I do soda, I can't do the diets. I have to do the real soda and maybe one. Like I'm getting through this one soda because it's the only damn thing you have here that I'll drink. Like when I order a Pepsi or a cola at the restaurants or whatever, it's not because I want it. It's because it's what they have.
Okay.
Like actually, I am you got to experience something last night for the first time, and you can give a review of it.
Oh yeah, the protein pudding.
Yeah, I made Tanya's protein pudding last night.
I have to say it tastes pretty good, but yeah, it packs a wallop.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really it. I'm not gonna say it hits like a lead balloon. That's not really it. How can I put this as delicately as possible? Meat farts. That's basically where I got stuck all night. Was that like sluggish, full, protein-laden meat fart?
Well, I told you I had the proportion off. I couldn't find the right measuring spoon, and I'm still trying to figure out how to measure it out of the blender into the cup. So they're about a half a cup. They should be like a quarter of that or 2/3 of that.
That wasn't even my problem.
Okay.
That's not really it. Normally when I have chocolate pudding,
I
have zero, and I mean zero meat fart experience. With my chocolate pudding. This was a lot of a you ate too much meat experience. Like tone it down. Was where my body was.
Right.
Is like I don't know what you just ate, but it's coming across like you fried up an entire package of bacon. You're an effed up boy. Roll it backwards. Try again.
And you dressed yours up. I don't normally dress mine up.
True. Oh, well, I didn't add that much stuff to it.
No, you put some crumbs. You put cashew butter.
Put a little cashew butter and some of the what were they? The Hershey's
holiday chips.
Yeah, I put the holiday chips and like a literal spoonful worth.
Tablespoon.
No, not a tablespoon. I know how much I put on there.
It was a good bit, but anyhow, he done that. But those are changes I've made. Those are things I've found. The wraps we've been on a kick with here lately are more designed for people that have had stomach surgery. I find them wonderful. The protein shake that I'm making in the mornings, I'm loving it too.
Brenda says, Joe, protein powder does that. I lived with 2 gym rats. Yeah, no, that I knew it. I just didn't think of it before I ate it. That yeah, this is gonna be way protein laden.
Right.
But it was just that awkward moment of having that tummy feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about other people, but when I get that tummy feel, it's a plain toss for me. I only get that if I've had, which I normally don't, have an excessive amount of protein.
Mm-hmm.
I get that feeling, or this is the feeling I get right before I'm going to be horribly, horribly sick.
Right. But my question for you was, because you've been on metformin, and you were telling me you felt hungry all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you after the protein?
I think it was pretty good. Like the heavy protein hit really well, granted, I mean, I was kind of having that moment of unsure whether I had excessive meat consumption or if I had,
right,
like the plague of the bubonic variety. Wasn't sure which. Wasn't sure what I was getting hit with there.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I there was no way I could have felt hungry at that point. I was just hopeful that whatever happened, Like, please don't let it be I go to bed and crap my pants.
Well,
Like, please don't let it be that.
but no, I like the protein powder that we got. It's Veggie Life Chocolate Decadence. It lacks the decadence part, so you have to add coffee to it to make it decadent, but it is good. I'm really liking Tanya's puddings. And I'm sorry, that's her name. It's Heart Tanya on TikTok. She's also going to do the, if you watch Psyche of the Plant, you see I have a lasagna planned, and my version will not have meat. It's got the egg wraps in it. They are delicious. They're really soft. So with that, you've got to be kind of careful what you do with them, but I think they'll make excellent noodles.
Which I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
I was not expecting you to come back and say that they were soft.
Yeah.
I was afraid they were going to be like straight egg whites overcooked.
Yeah. No,
like, because I'm sitting here going, if I'm going to make a wrap for something and I'm going to do it entirely out of eggs, I'm thinking you basically yank the yolk, get the healthiest part of the egg, which is the whites, and then you basically bump your heat up so you get that semi-plasticky, like not full-on plastic eggs because you cooked it on high and you don't know what you're doing and you're destroying eggs. But that you bump it up just a little bit so they get a harder texture. And I was like,
no, it's really soft. Like it's easily like I tried to make wrap and I'm like, this cannot be a wrap. It is a taco. It is a chiquita, not a chiquita.
Quesadilla.
Yeah, quesadilla. It is not a burrito wrap. Yeah, they're really good. She uses the syrups. I haven't been able to get my paws on the syrups yet, but they're very good. Yeah, her puddings are great. Yeah, I'm looking at getting some syrups. And I've been doing her water thing, which is working really well. I went and got the cup at Walmart, which I was surprised. It was like $7 for a cup. It's an actually really good cup. So I'm doing some water, but my sugars have dropped down to the 90s right now with the way my diet is. But my diet is continually progressing and changing as my relationship with food is. I almost didn't grab lunch today because my protein shake literally almost carried me throughout the day.
Yeah. And I think most of the reason you got lunch was because I became homicidal right about that point. Where it's like, I'm going to stab everyone. I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm cranky, and everyone's coming at me. Leave me alone.
Yeah, the pizza dip looks delicious. I'm going to be probably making that.
Pizza chips? What?
I gotta find Joseph's bread before I do them because that's what you use to dip them in. Oh yeah. Think nachos that are healthy.
Oh, okay.
That meets
Nachos
pizza.
are healthy.
That meets pizza.
Okay, you're selling it to me, not the invisible assistant.
Well, I know, but at the same time, and those are food choices and changes that we've made. It's like for 20 years now, I've used Slim Fast. I've moved over to protein powder here within the last week.
No, yeah, technically.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I still think of the Slim Fast because you were doing the Slim Fast protein.
Yeah.
So I think of it more as it's basically a protein shake.
It is basically.
So when you said that, I was kind of like, no, you've been doing that way longer than that. But no, gotcha, fair enough. This is the first time you've switched over to just like it's straight protein powder.
Right. And it does really well. So if I get some Skinny Gal syrups, I'll tell you guys how they are. So far, I've liked their egg wraps. I've liked the water routine of drinking your weight. You're divided in half in water in ounces. And the 32-ounce cup makes it easy. Which, by the way, these are at Walmart. So they're really good. I like them. The wood top kind of threw us for a moment, but it's a lot more resistant than we thought. And it can get pre-made and stuck in the fridge, and then taking and like getting the sugar-free whatever flavors into it really ups your water gain. So your water intake. So if you're wanting to lose weight, you have to hit your water goal to be able to lose weight. Is her theory, and I'm kind of following along with that theory, and it seems to be doing a lot better for me to get water in me because I'm a caffeine-based life form. Now, the one fail was I got the Great Value brand mixed berry with electrolytes water. That shit is nasty. Nasty.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, of course, then again, you have some pretty intense reactions to the water mixes. You either love them or hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got a few or you've had a few in the past
Mm-hmm.
that I've been like, I'll drink it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it.
Right.
No, you're like, you either drink it and it's stocked and it remains stocked and you love it,
Right.
you love it, or you will literally pick it up, throw it in the trash because no, that is not fit for human consumption.
Exactly.
Like you have no in between or
No.
belief that, well, maybe Joe will like it. We'll just
I don't even fuck that. I don't like it. He don't like it. All right. And yes, chocolate protein powder in coffee is awesome. Now, Brenda, if you're doing the blender coffee where you put you're actually using protein powder and coffee, dehydrated coffee, throw a little bit of peanut butter in there or PB2. Oh, delish.
All right. So
peanut butter blizzard made over. All right, so let's move on to relationship advice. And I chose one a little spicy because we haven't done spicy in relationship for a while.
Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I just now saw it. I was like, where's your relationship advice? I, 32 male, just found out my fiance, 30 female, used to be an escort. Just like the title says, I'm a bit distraught because I found out about this all yesterday. Recently engaged, and with her moving in, job loss on my end, and us beginning to plan a wedding, we have been butting heads and fighting a lot. A few weeks ago, she left out a book on her desk I realized she was using to document our fights in a journal format. I found it informative to see her perspective and honestly felt like even though there is a breach of privacy, reading it helped me understand her better, and I appreciated the perspective. She was out the other day, and I wanted to see if anything was updated in this fight journal, but then came across another journal from her past. I know looking was a bad choice. Okay, no, that's the sentence they went with. Was a bad choice to look, but I didn't stop. It was a book detailing all of her previous sexual exploits, the men she's met, known, juggled, compared. It was hard to digest, but for the most part, not all that surprising. She was an attractive girl exploring her sexuality. Did that hurt to read? Yes, but I do accept that part of her past, however salacious it may have been. What I'm struggling with is after flipping a few pages towards the end of the journal, I realized there was talk about accepting money for payment. Turns out at some point she hopped on seeking arrangements and ended up meeting with at least two men, one of whom paid her with a detailed arrangement of money for sex. There is an envelope transaction and everything. It struck me because it's never been mentioned before. She has alluded to being with older men, and I know that they would give her shoes and nice clothing and things, but she has claimed to not have transacted sex for anything. It just goes against what I thought of her, and I am just so confused. It's really hard to wrestle with how I didn't really think I would date an escort or be engaged to one. It feels a little unfair in that way. I wish I'd known, and I don't know how to bring this up or how to even process my feelings before I do, because I know the way I found out was also by looking where I shouldn't have looked in her old journal. I'm just really torn up by this. Part of me wants to say I'm open to knowing sex work is work and it's in her past, but something just feels really off to me. She definitely had a job in this time and is college educated. It doesn't seem like it was out of necessity, but more for a desire to be with rich men who could give her a luxurious lifestyle. Somehow, I've always felt a fear that some wealthy man would be able to lure her away with shiny things, but I brush this off as an irrational insecurity. I just feel really stupid for not putting this together before I feel a little duped. I feel bad and guilty for snooping, and even though I'm sure to get some extreme answers on here, I think any advice would be appreciated because I don't know what to do.
First of all, you need to get your act together. Stay the fuck out of her shit.
I was going to just scream, stop reading! Oh my God, don't read people's journals. Please don't read people's journals. You don't want to read people's journals. And quite frankly, there's a small possibility that she, had a, so to speak, plant journal. As in a journal that one creates so that if someone goes snooping, you find out really quickly because there's shit in there that they're gonna talk to you about because they can't not talk to you about it because they will have to.
Right.
Because their little brains will explode.
Exactly. Why she done her job is her business. When she done her job is her business. Before you came in. If anything, be grateful for the skills she picked up.
I have more issues with it than that. First of all, I think you're drawing a big line between, she experimented with being paid for sex with a couple of people that you know of. Right. Like, assuming you don't continue doing the thing I just told you not to do. But at this point, what you know is that at some point, she was paid by two people for what fundamentally could be somewhere between, a indecent proposal and sex work. So 2 instances.
Again, none of his business.
Well, but here's my thing but you're taking it with about all the kindness, consideration, moral high ground, etc. Of, she does it behind a dumpster for a $5.
Right.
Like, there's a big difference.
Right.
Between, like, that's a wide range of difference.
Right.
Between she is an escort and she has escorted a couple of times.
And there's a big difference between the $5 hooker and an escort. First of all. Second of all, it's none of his damn business. He has none of it was privacy. And see, I have this problem with people that call me and clients, pay attention, take note. You call me and tell me you've been in your boyfriend's phone and it wasn't because he was dead, you have a problem. You have an insecurity, and he even admits he has an insecurity that he's fearful that someone bigger, more powerful. Notice it wasn't that he's not meeting her needs because she's more experienced than him. It was that some rich man will come and steal her away. Well, honey, if you're doing your job right, she won't be able to get stolen away to begin with.
Well, more to the point, you went digging through someone's past, and unsurprisingly, you found out that they have been with other people. They've done some things. And you're now trying to reconcile how, which is fundamentally his problem. You're trying to reconcile how you and her ended up together in whatever situationship you're in, and why that through a lens of your insecurities is something preferable to her. Here's the problem. I think when we try to do that, we often lack a lot of information. That she may or may not have journaled, that you may or may not have read, that you really didn't wait the way you should have.
Right.
In terms of what was it about these situations? Was this here's how I see it, is she did this a couple of times.
Right.
We often jokingly say, try everything twice, once to see if you like it, and two to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's a huge difference between someone who in high school I forgot the word. I keep wanting to say pickpockets, but that's not it. Anyway, pockets, basically, an item in the store without paying for it for a cheap thrill because they're a teenager. And a cold hard thief.
Right.
Like, those are two drastically different people. A little impulsivity and stupidity in your teens and 20s is one thing.
Right.
We grow out of that. We get a cheap thrill. We get our kicks. We get arrested. Right. We get whatever.
Right.
Or we find out that no, like, this isn't for me.
Right.
And we move on with our life, and we hope to never actually tell someone about the things that we've, effed up and done while we were in that teens and 20s.
Right.
As we grow into responsible adults. Because we had the experience, we learned from it, and we moved on. She's in her 30s. She is now a responsible adult.
Right.
She did things, and she decided at some point during those things, she didn't like that.
Right.
Or that wasn't for her, or that didn't give her what she wanted.
Right.
Or that this theory that a lot of teenage women and women in their 20s get, that you're supposed to want a man with a ton of money and to be a sugar baby, ain't all it's cracked up to be. It has terms and conditions, and it sucks.
Right.
Like, granted, some people do have that theory. I'd rather be crying in a Mercedes in its heated seats. You're still crying. You're still not happy.
Right.
So whatever it was, it didn't make her happy. It didn't bring her joy. And in Marie Kondo style, she let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And she has hopefully found someone that does bring her joy.
Right.
You just need to let it go.
Right.
That this is part of her past, and you really need to de-emphasize
right
your word escort in this situation.
Right.
From being your primary focus, that she was an escort, to she escorted a couple of times.
Right. That felt noteworthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more to the point.
Yeah. But I
don't know how much she left out.
Well, left out, didn't care to record, did not care to elaborate on, whatever. Point being, this is none of his business. Did it happen during the relationship? No. Then that's not your problem or your intention or your ability to understand it.
Yeah. Well, and Brenda brings up the best point of, I don't get it. Even if she had been an escort for years, she is still who she is. She hasn't changed, only his opinion has. Yeah, that's probably a bigger to the bigger point to make.
Well,
I just am more floored that he's so hung up on these two events. A total escort makes her.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I really think that he's stupid. Sex work is work, and then he goes on to defile it. And if you go in and read his I love going to see what OP says to follow up on some of this. Oh, there's addition. He went through and actively commented on this up to 9 hours ago.
Goodness.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, well, I want to talk to you about. No, you don't. You want to shut your mouth, forget you ever knew this, and move on. There's a country song about a mother having a tattoo and having a wilder life before she became a mother.
Yeah. Didn't we all? Like, I mean, okay, if you're looking into like the mothering years,
Right.
generally considered sometime in your 20s and beyond,
Right.
didn't we all?
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, if you became a parent before you got to have a wilder life, holy hell, I'm sorry for you.
Right.
More to the point, I'm more scared of who you became because of that.
Right.
Because if you went, little goody two shoes straight into marriage and, popped out a kid before you
Right.
knew some things of the world, oh my, that doesn't always work out pretty.
Right.
Like sometimes it just works out into like homicidal spouse. Sometimes it works out into like mama done took off.
Right.
And decided there was more to life than, diapering babies and laying on her back for, some dude.
Well, exactly. And, sorry, your ancestors most likely didn't marry for love, dudes. Your grandmother.
Well, you get to a certain point in your ancestry, they didn't even get married.
Yeah.
Like, and that's anyone.
Yeah.
It's anyone. Were they landed gentry? They didn't get married.
Exactly.
If they weren't landed gentry, they didn't get married. No one gave a shit. Everyone lived in sin. Biblical people lived in sin.
Yep.
As your mama would put it.
Brenda hit it right on the nose here.
Yeah.
And having to move in with his girlfriend, fiance, to support him.
Yeah, somehow in his head that works out better if she's a hooker.
Right.
Because he calls her an escort. I think he's just being polite. In his head, it's probably like, my girlfriend was a hooker.
Right.
Or is a hooker. I don't know if that's part of his thing.
Right.
Does he believe this is still going on and there's another journal that's more up to date?
Right.
Or she moved it to her phone, which that would probably be his next evolution, is to go through her phone and see what's there.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a sincerely horrible part of this, is that he does want to, subjugate her in the situation.
Right.
Put her down.
And he does throughout the comments here. So I hope that his fiance finds this and goes, here you go. You said the following. Fuck you. Get out of my house. I have bills to pay. And you're not one of them.
And more importantly, you don't get answers.
Exactly.
Or worse, I think I would be the evil. Like, let me just say that in my life, I cannot say at any point that I should not have been born a man. And I say it for this reason. Because I firmly believe if I were a woman, I would be the absolute cruelest evil woman on the planet.
Joe, you bleeped out again. I can't wait to see what this looks like originally.
All right, there we go. So I would be the most cruel woman imaginable. I would sit here and I would go into great made-up details.
Right.
And just every present that you ever got him, no matter how small, came from sex work. I would just walk him through it. Oh, that watch I bought you for your birthday? Yeah, I got that from being on my back in the plaza with, a senator. Like, I would just fill his head with horrible thoughts. And then I'd dump his ass.
Well, either way, I think
because this is why I should never be a woman.
Right. He isn't
ever.
The relationship advice is don't ever touch someone else's shit. I don't care if you've been sleeping with them for a year. If you cannot picture yourself putting on her lingerie, stay the fuck out of her journals. Stay the fuck out of her planners. Unless she requests you to go to a specific area and put something in there.
Yep. And then you still don't pick them up and read them without permission.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stay out of her shit. Like, why do couples do this to themselves?
I think it's because they want control. They want to know every little thing about them. It's like sitting down on the first date and having a full psychological evaluation of their past.
Sometimes I think it's like looking for reasons to end it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my that's one of my things is I think you went digging for reasons to end it, and you found one,
Right.
at least in your own mind,
Right.
to justify ending this.
Right.
And now you want the internet to come to your defense and tell you, no, you're right. She's a horrible person. You need to end this.
Right.
And dude, I hope you don't get it. I hope not a single person comments and gives you that.
Right.
Because again, you don't deserve it.
Right.
You went looking, you found out she had a past. Surprising. Surprising a 30-year-old woman has a past.
Right.
Isn't that something?
Right.
It kills me.
Yeah, it does. All right, guys. So we will be back on. I'll be back Thursday night with coffee and tea, and I'll be sitting down with Natalie. Yes. And then Friday we'll be back for Mountain Bears. We'll be talking about LGBT issues, news, hot topics, and of course your two favorite segments: finding out if Joe's an asshole, which it has been confirmed that ending the poll now, you are the asshole.
Do you know how long he has been waiting to say Joe is the asshole?
For a while now. And secondly, we'll be doing that. And of course, we'll be joining you at 8 o'clock on Saturday night for Energy Overview and Sunday night for Psychic Fit Plans. We'll be doing my monthly setup for March in the new line vertical Psychic Fit Plans. It's working out fairly well. Now watch me say that and it blows up tomorrow. But right now it's working out fairly well.
Oh no, please don't let it blow up tomorrow. Not this week. Not this week. I can't take anymore.
Yeah, don't say that. Don't say that. It's like saying it's quiet.
Oh no. I am telling the universe, send it somewhere else.
So
like the circus. Move it to the next town.
Let's take a moment to thank those ones that make this possible.
Yeah, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Dottie the Psychic, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about the show, us, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Tell me the deck is stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now.